Here on RT, our top story, the birthplace of the anti-corporate Occupy movement in New York's been raided and cleared out by police. Hundreds of protesters who've been camped out in Zuccotti Park for 2 months have been evicted and banned from coming back to stay. Officers reportedly used force to kick out some of the activists, with witnesses suggesting pepper spray and tear gas were also used. Authorities removed all the tents, citing health and safety concerns. Protesters say it's an excuse to sabotage a massive demonstration planned for Thursday. Let's get more on all this from RT's Marina Port, joining us live in New York. Hello, Marina. So police have been accused of using tough tactics in dealing with the Occupy protesters across cities in the U.S., and now they're striking at the center of the movement, where it started at Zuccotti Park in New York. Is this seen as a major blow to the movement?
I think some would say this is a bit of a blow to the movement because, as you mentioned, the New York City Police Department struck at the core of Occupy Wall Street. This is where the campaign began nearly 2 months ago and subsequently spread throughout the nation. And so at 1 a.m. Tuesday morning, when hundreds of police officers, dozens of them clad in riot gear, moved into Zuccotti Park, it was somewhat of a secret sweep. The activists were not notified. They knew of this when the cops came in with floodlights and sirens and demanded that all of those occupiers that have been living there, about 200 of them or so, leave immediately and remove their property from the park. An eyewitness says he saw cops using pocket knives to cut open the tents that some people were sleeping in, yelling for them to get out. Many of the protesters did leave peacefully. Many of them were in shock. They didn't realize what was happening, what was going on. Hundreds of cops were surrounding them. But other activists did resist. Some tied themselves to trees. There was a video that's been seen and shown and filmed of some of the resisting activists being manhandled by the police. At least 70 people thus far have been arrested. Some eyewitnesses say that sound cannons were used by the NYPD to try to evacuate anybody, any of the Occupy activists that were resisting to leave the park. Now, tents and personal items belonging to the activists have essentially been destroyed. Those taking part in the Occupy movement say that nearly 5,000 books that have been donated have been destroyed and thrown out. There was another clash between police and activists that unfolded when the activists formed a human shield to prevent the police officers from breaking down the kitchen that they built there, where essentially the food is cooked to feed the activists that live there night and day. Now, before this 1 a.m. secret raid essentially took place on Zuccotti Park, the police did hand out flyers to the activists indicating that the park's owner, Brookfield Properties, said that the park had to be evacuated and cleared because it had become unsanitary and hazardous. New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg said that he supported this decision, and I'm quoting him, he said, "Make no mistake, the final decision to act was mine." And that's New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg taking responsibility for what has been going on for 6 hours now. The city says that activists will be allowed back in the park after it's cleared out, but that they will not be allowed to bring in tents, tarps, or sleeping bags, clearly making the circumstance a lot more difficult for the activists to occupy the park with the winter weather approaching. But for now, hundreds, if maybe not thousands of activists have marched about 9 blocks north to a place called Foley Square, and that is where unions are reportedly going to be showing up within the next hour to join protesters. So if anything, this has maybe rallied more support for the movement, but at the same time, it has been a huge blow.
And speaking generally about the movement, 2 months on, it's spread across America and much of the world, but how much of an impact has it really made towards achieving its aims?
Well, I think that the credit has to be given to the Occupy movement with the fact that, as you mentioned, it has spread to all 50 states in the U.S. It's being considered the most dynamic democratic movement since the 1960s, in the sense that it's gaining news coverage, it's gaining support. But in terms of fundamentally creating change, it hasn't gotten that far yet. It has gotten far enough where during the U.S. presidential debates, the candidates are being asked questions about Occupy Wall Street. U.S. President Barack Obama has addressed the issue of Occupy Wall Street, saying he appreciates the grievances and frustrations of the activists. Well, they will say that he isn't doing enough to cause a change in the U.S. system, but they are gaining notoriety. They do have a voice. Has there been significant change thus far in the past 2 months? No, but it's only been 2 months. And that 2-month anniversary will be marked on Thursday, and that's when the Occupy movement is planning what they call huge events throughout the day in New York City. And one of them include what they say is an attempt to shut down the New York Stock Exchange. So if you want to put your money on a bet, you could bet that these activists will be out on the street Thursday. They may even have a bigger crowd now than they were expecting to have before this secret police raid took place in Zuccotti Park.
All right, Ortiz and Marina Portnoy live in New York for us. Thanks for that report.
Sure.